Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Saturday evening, March 30, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can see that the ridge of high pressure that was situated across the southern United States yesterday has now pushed eastward and now is situated across portions of the Bahamas and Florida, and is responsible for sending all of those easterly trade winds across the Greater Antilles. You can also see another ridge of high pressure right there to the northwest of Africa that's responsible for sending all of those easterly trade winds across the main development region. We can see the cold front still stretching all the way from northern section of North Atlantic all the way down to portions of the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and it has induced a trough into portions of Hispaniola and the central Caribbean close to Jamaica. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see the clouds associated with that cold front stretching all the way from northern section of North Atlantic all the way down into portions of the Dominican Republic, Haiti, and the trough that has induced across portions of the Central Caribbean, some of these clouds making it as far as Honduras. We can also see that we have some amount of clouds plaguing sections of the Eastern Caribbean as well. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean's weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Saturday, March 30. It was stated that we would have received some rainfall across northern and eastern Jamaica on Friday night into early Saturday morning, and then would have received some amount of afternoon rainfall across sections of some southern and western parishes. And just for reference, northern parishes, we're talking about Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. Eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, so Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, and St. Andrew. Southern parishes, we're talking about St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, and Westmoreland. And western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, so Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Elizabeth, and Westmoreland. And what ended up happening? We saw that as soon as the sun came up, the visible satellite images were posted on our Twitter page. Keep in mind that these posts aren't only made on our Twitter page, but our Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook page. At our Instagram page at weather.jamaica, our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make other posts throughout the day that are not made here on our YouTube platform. So we can see that we indeed had some amount of clouds across sections of some northern and eastern parishes early this morning that brought some amount of rainfall to those areas as well, especially across Portland and St. Mary. And then during the afternoon hours, we still had those clouds plaguing the northeast, but some of these clouds started to make it into sections of some southern and western parishes, just as predicted. We saw overcast skies and some isolated shower activity across sections of Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, sections of Hanover, St. Elizabeth got in on some of the action. Not everywhere, but we indeed had some amount of cloud cover, and wherever those clouds were, we might have had some isolated shower activity or two. And we had confirmation from one of our followers on our Facebook page, Winston Ebanks, stating having a squall in Southfield, St. Elizabeth, very welcome as usual. And as you know, a squall is basically a shower and maybe isolated thunderstorm activity sometimes. As it relates to the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we saw those clouds pushing in from the east-northeast, still bring some isolated shower activity. The sections of some western parishes, St. Elizabeth got in some of the action, sections of Westmoreland as the sun was going down, And we still have some of that taking place right now. If we take a look at the latest infrared satellite images, we still have some of those clouds across sections of the southwest, and the Cuban Doppler radar images confirm this with the greens that represent light to moderate rainfall across sections of the waters to the south of Westmoreland, still plaguing sections of St. Elizabeth as we speak. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, temperatures should be lowering as the night progresses down to 26 degrees Celsius. Then by 3 a.m., it should get down to about 24 degrees Celsius in both, well, in Montego Bay, and 23 degrees Celsius in Kingston. As relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is showing 18Z on Sunday. When we calculate that, that's actually 1 p.m. on Sunday. And we see Jamaica embedded in some grays and some slight yellows that represent average, as we can see by the key on the right. And the yellows represent slightly above normal temperatures, up to 1 degree Celsius or maybe up to 2 degrees Celsius above average. And we're wrapping up the month of March, and the temperature should be rising as we get into the summer months of July and August. Temperatures are way above average already. In March, we usually receive up to 87.3 degrees Fahrenheit. And we take a look at the thermometer. 87.3 degrees Fahrenheit is about the same as 30 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 30 to 32 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperatures on Sunday. As it relates to the dry air map, we can still see that we have a lot of dry air plaguing the Atlantic Basin. The dry air is represented by the yellows, oranges, and reds by what we can see on the key on the bottom. And yes, a lot of dry air is plaguing that area across Jamaica as well. But we're indeed grateful that the Saharan dust is not that robust. We can see the forecast for 2 p.m. on Sunday has majority of the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico in the clear, as all the browns that represent the Saharan dust should be plaguing sections of northeastern South America and the waters of the southern and eastern main development region. As it relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see that both the Euro and the GFS smalls are showing more so in the way of dark blues, anywhere from the north to the eastern side of the island, the southwest, the lighter shades of blues that represent 0.5 for meter wave heights, as we can see by the key on the bottom right, while the 1 to 1.5 meter wave height should be plaguing the eastern and northern portion of the island. And that's because the winds are going to be strongest in those areas across the north and the eastern portion of the island. Winds coming in from the east-northeast across northern Jamaica, coming in from the east for the most part across southern Jamaica. And whatever rainfall that's expected, definitely going to be coming in from the east-northeast, maybe affecting sections of the northeast still. Then we see those blues that represent the least amount of winds. And we know what usually happens. We have that buildup of clouds, then some afternoon isolated showers, just like what we got to do. So we can't rule out something similar happening across section of Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth once more. And if we take a look at the rainfall forecast for tomorrow, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS, they're both showing 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 4 a.m. Jamaica time. And where do we see the blues that represent rainfall? Across sections of northeastern Jamaica again. So definitely sections of Portland, St. Mary, maybe spilling into sections of St. Anne or St. Thomas. Then during the afternoon hours, we see the blues starting to spread from the northeast to sections of some south central and maybe western parishes again. Euro is a bit more robust as usual than the GFS. Keep in mind that this is for 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time. And it makes sense that both accumulated precipitation forecast maps from the Euro and the GFS are showing some amount of rainfall within the next 24 hours for Jamaica. Euro, as usual, is a bit more robust than the GFS. Euro showing up to 0.27 of an inch of rainfall across eastern Jamaica. GFS showing up to 0.2 of an inch of rainfall across northeastern Jamaica. Either way, we're in for some amount of rainfall tomorrow, and we're indeed grateful considering that we're still in the dry season. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So we can see those low-level patches of clouds pushing from east to west across the southern Bahamas, coming into sections of Haiti and Dominican Republic with some amount of rainfall, some thunderstorm activity starting to fire up across sections of northern South America, Venezuela, Guyana, Colombia as usual, sections of Honduras, the eastern Caribbean with those hit or miss isolated pockets of showers, And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean throughout the day today, starting from about 1:30 p.m. as usual, 1:40, we see that they didn't have much taking place across the Leeward Islands or that area near Puerto Rico at all. Not much of anything throughout Saturday. But on the Windward Islands Doppler radar from the Barbados radar site, we can see that we're indeed expecting some amount of rainfall coming in from the northeast across Barbados tonight into tomorrow. Some of that rainfall to the north and west and to the south of Barbados as well, affecting sections of St. Lucia, maybe sections of St. Vincent and the Grenadines later on tonight, not to mention sections of Tobago. If we take a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we don't see much happening at all. Nothing on the radar across Florida and western Cuba. Nothing on the radar to the east of Nicaragua or the ABC Islands radar. Not to mention the French Guiana radar. What we do see, however, is that rainfall that we just spoke about across the eastern Caribbean, across the Windward Islands, that is. Not to mention that radar across Colombia, showing all of that rainfall that we saw in the satellite images. If we take a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is showing 18 on Sunday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Sunday. And we know the grays and the blues represent average to below average temperatures, and those will be plaguing sections of the Florida area, Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Cuba, sections of the Cayman Islands, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, while average to above normal temperatures should be plaguing the Central and Eastern Caribbean, Northern South America, and that area especially across Central America, the Western Gulf of Mexico, and sections of the United States. As relates to the Sahara, thus forecast for 2 p.m. on Sunday, majority of the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico should be in the clear, while all the browns that represent the Sahara dust should be right there across the northeastern portions of South America, not to mention the waters of the southern main development region and the eastern main development region closer to Africa, especially where we have those darker shades of browns that represent that vigorous plume of dust that we don't want to see. That's that dust that causes the hazy skies and triggers some amount of asthma or sinusitis in some people. As it relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see that both the Euro and the GFS are in consensus that all across the Caribbean into the Gulf of Mexico, we should be getting in on those lighter shades of blues to darker shades of blues, anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height to 1.5 meter wave height. That's because the winds are going to be coming in from the east for the most part, averaging anywhere from 10 to 15 to even 20 knots, maybe gusting to 25 knots, where we see those yellows as usual to the south of Haiti, to the north of Colombia. And as relates to the rainfall forecast, now we know the whites and the grays represent little to no rainfall, but where we start to see some greens and darker greens and yellows and oranges and reds, that's where we actually pick up on some amount of rainfall. So if these areas are not getting rainfall right now, they're definitely going to be getting rainfall within the next 24 hours. Keep in mind that both of these maps from the Euro and the GFS go all the way up until 10 p.m. on Sunday. And we see the forecast for some amount of rainfall plaguing sections of Belize, northeastern Honduras, eastern Nicaragua, sections of Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, sections of Puerto Rico, sections of the US and British Virgin Islands, and we're looking for consensus to what both maps are showing. And we do see the consensus for sections of St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Barbados. Skipping southward now, we're also seeing the consensus for rainfall across sections of Suriname, sections of French Guyana, sections of Venezuela, Colombia getting in on the action as well. I know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus like this, the chances of actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.